The series begins with a girl named Mira. Despite being beautiful and intelligent, she is approaching her 30s and has not yet married. We learn that she works for a production company and spends her entire day at work. When she returns home, she is exhausted and barely has enough energy to eat and sleep. Therefore, she has no time to get involved with anyone or go on dates. The next day, she wakes up early to go to work. On the way, she puts on her headphones to entertain herself until she arrives. Since she has no time for leisure, she imagines herself standing before the sea, walking on the beach, happy and laughing. But suddenly, the child sitting next to her wakes her up from her dream. He annoys her and ruins her clothes with chocolate, then leaves and gets off the train quickly. Mira gets furious and wants to grab him by his hair, but the metro moves. When she reaches the company, she tries to clean her clothes. Her colleague Park sees her and tells her it's useless. Mira is annoyed by his manner because he treats her with arrogance. She leaves him and gets out of the elevator. She finds all the employees waiting for her and congratulating her. She feels happy and asks them for the reason, but it turns out they are applauding Park because he got a promotion. She feels embarrassed and goes to sit at her desk to start working. Suddenly, she receives a message from her close friend asking to meet her. Mira is surprised because she is always busy, but she is forced to agree. When she finishes work, she goes to her, and they walk together in the mall. Mira asks her what she wants. Her friend informs her that their schoolmate's wedding is tomorrow, and she must attend. Mira refuses because she has no time due to work, but her friend gets angry and tells her that the wedding will be full of handsome young men, and she must come to choose one of them to get involved with. She doesn't give her a chance to think. She buys her a new dress to wear at the wedding and asks her to try it on, so Mira is forced to listen to her. Afterwards, she stays out late with her and continues drinking until she feels dizzy. She returns home so tired that she sleeps on the floor. The next day, she wakes up early to go to the company. When she arrives, she learns from her colleagues that the manager wants her to work with an author. She is surprised and decides to make him regret it. She goes to his office while she is angry, with fury filling her eyes. Her colleagues are afraid and think she is going to fight with him, but as soon as she enters, she offers him sweets and starts joking with him to try to gain his sympathy. However, she finds her colleague Park sitting inside. She feels embarrassed when she sees him. Each of them starts acting as if they are tired to gain the manager's sympathy and escape the work with the author. But the manager gets fed up and unfortunately chooses Mira because she is kind and doesn't know how to say no. Our heroine feels frustrated. She leaves them and goes out sad. She remembers her memories with her old lover and how much she loved him and wanted to marry him. But because of her work, she forgot his birthday, and unfortunately, he broke up with her. She wakes up from her memories and notices she is late for her friend's wedding. She has to go quickly without wearing the new dress. When she arrives, she sees her friend wearing a white dress, waving to her and laughing, and she wishes her a happy life. Afterwards, she leaves to go home, but she notices that all her female friends are in relationships. She feels embarrassed because she is the only one without a boyfriend. She leaves them and returns home crying. Before she sleeps, she remembers her memories with her old lover and the beautiful moments they lived together, feeling that she misses him. The next day, she goes to the company early. As soon as she arrives, she finds the author she is supposed to work with waiting for her in the elevator. She gets scared and tries to escape, but unfortunately, the author sees her and takes her with her against her will. They sit in a restaurant to talk. There, she shows her the novel she wrote and asks her to help her finish it. Mira feels frustrated because it's boring work, but she is forced to agree. At the end of the day, she returns home, but she finds a large box waiting for her. When she opens it, she is surprised that it is a strange device with Lover on Demand written on it. She wonders and starts reading its instructions. She learns it's a new program that helps people without partners to get into relationships. She gets excited and decides to try it. She puts the helmet on her head and turns it on, but as soon as she presses the button, she feels a headache and faints. When she wakes up, she finds herself standing in a strange place, and in front of her is a woman who looks like a robot. Mira wonders and approaches her. Suddenly, the woman opens her eyes and starts talking to her, welcoming her and informing her that she is the program's system supposed to help her. She gives her a ring to wear on her hand and tells her that when she wants to exit the program, she should take it off. She asks her to get ready to start the first stage. Suddenly, she transports her to a beautiful place on the beach. Mira feels happy and thinks she is dreaming, but suddenly a large wave appears and drowns her in the sea. Our heroine screams and closes her eyes, feeling that this is her end. But when she opens them, she is surprised that she can swim and breathe underwater. She feels happy and starts watching the fish and sea creatures. However, she sees a young man drowning underwater and runs to him to save him. She takes him and exits the sea quickly. She notices he is an athletic person with muscles. She is admired by his handsomeness and keeps looking at him. Suddenly, he wakes up and opens his eyes. He wonders when he sees her, grabs her hand, and asks her who she is. She feels shy and takes off the ring quickly. Because of this, she exits the program and returns to her real life. Mira is shocked because she remembers everything that happened to her as if it were real. She goes online and types the name of the program and learns it is a new invention that helps people live the love story they dream of. She hesitates and doesn't know whether to try it again or not. The next day she goes to work, but she remains distracted, thinking about what happened. Suddenly, her colleague enters with a picture of the handsome young man she saved. Mira gets nervous when she sees him and feels her heart beating for him. She keeps looking at him, unable to believe she fell for a fictional character. She decides to forget him, but whenever she goes anywhere, she imagines him in front of her, to the point that when she walks in the street, she sees an advertisement with his picture. When she returns home, she decides to enter the program again to see him. Indeed, she puts the helmet on her head and turns it on. This time, she finds herself in the hotel of the handsome young man she saved. She learns that his name is Chan. Suddenly, he appears from behind her and asks her what she is doing here. Mira feels embarrassed, apologizes to him, and walks away. But before she leaves, Chan feels that he knows her. When he approaches her, he remembers she is the girl who saved him from drowning, and he is happy he found her. He tells her, "I have been looking for you for a long time to thank you." He approaches her to hold her hand, but she feels embarrassed and takes off the ring. Because of this, she exits the program and returns to her home. She is nervous and her feelings are confused because it has been a long time since she heard sweet words. The next day, she goes to work and hides Chan's picture to try to forget him. Her colleagues wonder at her behavior, but she refuses to tell them anything. Afterward, she goes to the author to help her write the novel. The author feels frustrated because she can't find events to write. Mira remembers what happened with Chan and decides to enter the program again to meet him and take ideas from him. She runs to her house. When she arrives, she puts on the helmet and turns it on. This time, she finds Chan standing in front of her, confessing his admiration for her and wanting them to be together. He is confident she will agree because he is a handsome and rich young man whom all girls want to date. But Mira shocks him. She refuses him and plays hard to get. She tells him, "I am different from all the girls you've known, and you must make more effort than this for me to agree to be with you and date." Chan admires her personality and becomes determined to make her fall in love with him. He asks his assistant to give her an interview to make her his secretary and get closer to her. Mira goes to meet her to get the job. She thinks she will ask her difficult questions, but she asks her about the things she likes. She learns that Chan is the one who asked her to do this, to gather information about her and win her heart. She tells her she likes flowers. When she finishes with her, she changes her clothes and goes to Chan. But when she enters his office, she is surprised that he has placed many flowers everywhere for her. She is happy with his attention and thanks him. But he informs her that he hasn't done anything yet and decides to invite her to lunch. He takes her to a restaurant and brings her the food she likes. Mira is surprised. She thinks the food isn't real, but when she tastes it, she finds it delicious. She starts eating like a horse until she finishes the dishes alone. Chan laughs at her behavior. Afterward, he takes her to a store to buy her new clothes. Mira is happy. She stands before the dresses and keeps trying them on, unable to believe herself. She is happy and living the happiest moments of her life. When she finishes, she wears an expensive dress. Chan presents her with a diamond necklace and takes her to a party together, treating her like a princess. The heroine is happy because she learned many events she can write in the novel. She takes off the ring, exits the program, and goes to meet the author. She tells her what happened with her and suggests making the hero's character handsome and rich like Chan. The author likes the idea and agrees. She starts writing the exact events that happened with her. Mira stays up all night to publish them on the internet for people to read. Her colleague Park sees her. He feels sorry for her and decides to buy her coffee to encourage her, but she doesn't give him a chance and goes to buy it for herself. When she takes the elevator, she wonders that he has 2 cups and asks him who he brought them for. He feels embarrassed and refuses to tell her they were for her. He bids her farewell and leaves. Afterward, Mira returns home and stays awake to see if the novel succeeded or not. When she goes online, she is surprised that it took first place. She is happy, unable to believe herself, and starts dancing like a child. The next day, she goes to the company confident in herself. All her colleagues congratulate her and acknowledge her talent. Mira is happy and thanks them. She puts Chan's picture back in its place because he is the reason for her success. She decides to enter the program again to meet him. When she returns home, she puts on the helmet. This time she finds herself at the airport, and Chan is waiting for her with his plane. He takes her by the hand, and they go on a trip together. They ride a ship in the middle of the sea, watch dolphins, and spend a nice time together, happy. Afterward, they sit on the beach. Chan decides to confess his feelings to her again. He says, "You are the girl I have loved most in my life." He approaches her, he presents her with a diamond ring, and proposes to her. Mira's happy and agrees, but suddenly Chan and everything around her stop moving. A message from the program system appears, informing her that the first stage is over, because she is allowed only 50 hours each time. Our heroine is sad because she had already begun to get attached to him. When she returns to reality, she keeps thinking about her memories with him and the beautiful moments they lived, feeling that she will miss him. Days pass by her, and she feels bored. When she gets fed up, she takes heart and decides to enter the program once more to meet a new character. Indeed, she does so. She enters her room, puts on the helmet, and closes her eyes. When she opens them, she finds herself standing before the program's woman. She asks her if she is ready to continue the experiment because the second stage will be more difficult and will make her live more romantic feelings. Mira is afraid of her words, but she agrees. The woman transports her to a beautiful place full of trees. Suddenly, a young man named Young appears from behind her. He approaches her and removes the flower from her clothes. Mira is surprised when she sees him because he is handsome and has dimples. She falls for him at first sight. She keeps looking at him, and of course she melts, and her eyes show hearts. She feels that luck has finally smiled upon her, and she will be with him. But as they say, if it wasn't for bad luck, she'd have no luck at all. Young apologizes to her and tells her he thought she was someone else. He leaves her and walks with his close friend. Mira is sad and feels frustrated. She goes to stand before the mirror, but she notices she is wearing a university uniform. She learns that this time she will live the life of a university student. She is happy because she misses her school days. Afterward, she sees many girls buying tickets and learns from one of them that there is a fencing match. She offers for Mira to come and watch with her. Mira is happy and agrees. They go together, happy, and sit among the audience. Everyone keeps cheering for the student wearing black because he represents their university. Mira admires his skill and decides to cheer for him too. Indeed, he wins the match. When he removes the mask, she is surprised that it is Young. She feels that fate is bringing them together and keeps looking at him with looks full of love. She decides to join his fencing club to try to get closer to him. Indeed, she does so. Her plan succeeds, and Young decides to test her himself. He thinks she is weak and holds her hand to teach her how to use the stick. He asks her to attack him. Mira tries to do so, but she is surprised that she is fast and strong. Everyone is shocked by her skill. Young decides to duel her with all his might. Both of them keep fighting each other. Everyone admires their talent and keeps cheering for them. Fortunately, the fight between them ends in a draw. Young is forced to accept her into the club. Mira is happy and thinks he fell in love with her. When they finish, she goes to talk to him and offers to invite him to lunch, confident he will agree. But he apologizes and tells her he is busy. He leaves her and walks with his close friend. Mira gets annoyed and feels jealous of their relationship. She takes off the ring to return to her real life. The next day she goes to work, but she is tired and falls asleep from exhaustion. Her colleague Park sees her. He keeps looking at her from afar and decides to leave her sleeping. He turns off the light so no one disturbs her. Afterward, Mira wakes up and finds that the manager wants her. She gets scared and thinks he will scold her for sleeping at work, but he decides to give her a vacation. Our heroine is surprised because this is the first time she has been free. She is happy and decides to take advantage of it. When she returns home, she invites her friend to lunch, but she hides the program device so she doesn't know she uses it. She sits with her and asks her what to do if she likes someone, but he ignores her. Her friend advises her to keep trying with him until she makes him fall in love with her. Mira is convinced by her words and decides to do that with Young. When her friend leaves, she puts on the helmet and enters the program. She finds herself in a lecture with Young. She is happy and keeps looking at him. She makes an excuse and goes to sit next to him, trying to tempt him with her beauty to make him fall in love with her. But he is not affected and even laughs at her movements. He asks her to be quiet so he can focus on the lecture. Mira feels embarrassed, but she doesn't give up. When they leave, she follows him. She learns he is going to train and keeps sticking to him like glue. Young is forced to take her with her. He approaches her and dresses her in training clothes. Mira is happy with his attention and thinks her plan succeeded, and he fell for her. But he tells her he is doing this because he wants to fight her again and defeat her. They start dueling, but our heroine is a martial arts professional and can defeat him easily. Young is surprised by her skill and admits his defeat. Afterward, they gather with the club members to stay out late, but Young's friend sits next to him and keeps caring for him and feeding him to annoy Mira. Heroine gets angry and wanted to grab her by her hair, but she changes her mind. She takes heart, goes to Young, and confesses her feelings to him. Everyone is surprised by her boldness and asks Young to agree, but he approaches her and says, "I have only known you recently and haven't had time to fall for you yet." Mira thinks he is rejecting her and feels frustrated. When they go out, she keeps walking behind him, but he notices her and allows her to walk beside him. Mira's happy and asks him about the type of girl he likes. Young gets nervous and was about to answer her, but suddenly it starts raining on them. Our heroine takes the opportunity and covers him with her jacket to protect him. She takes him, and they keep running under the rain, happy. They enter the club to hide and dry their clothes. Suddenly, Young approaches her. Mira gets nervous and thinks he is going to let her taste the raisins, but he notices that her hair is wet and asks her to dry it so she doesn't catch a cold. He informs her that he likes bold girls like her. Our heroine is happy with his words and feels she has hope to make him love her. She takes off the ring and returns to her real life to go to work, but she keeps thinking about him all day and imagines him in front of her. Afterward, while she is going home, she goes on the Instagram of her old lover to check on him, but she is surprised that he got engaged to someone and posted their pictures together. She is sad because she still loves him and loses hope that he will return to her, so she blocks him. When she returns home, she can't sleep from thinking. She decides to enter the program to try to forget him. Indeed, she puts on the helmet and does so. This time, she finds herself in the library with Young. She keeps looking at him from afar while he is studying, and her eyes show hearts and butterflies. But he notices her. When he finishes, he goes to her and offers for her to come and eat with him. Of course, she jumps at the chance and agrees. They go to the restaurant. He brings her the food she likes and also buys her sweets. When they finish, they go to the club to practice fencing together. They spend a nice time together, happy, and get closer to each other. Days pass, and Mira feels she has become attached to him and fallen in love with him. The next day, they go on a trip with the university. Young notices she is distracted and goes to sit next to her to make her happy and improve her mood. He reassures her that he is beside her and lets her sleep on his shoulder to rest. Mira is happy, feels safe, and stays asleep all the way. When they arrive, he takes her to the forest, and they stand over a high place watching the sunrise. He holds her hand and confesses he is admired by her. Mira is happy she succeeded in making him love her, but she learns that the stage time is about to end. She thanks him for everything he did and bids him farewell. Young is surprised by her words and asks her to stay with him. He approaches her to hug her, but unfortunately time ends and he stops moving. Mira returns to reality angry and keeps crying because she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. She gives the program a 10 out of 10 rating, but she decides not to try it again because her feelings are not a game. The next day, she goes to the company to forget him, but the manager asks her to work with Park. She is surprised because she can't stand him. She tries to escape him, but fails. At night, Park waits for her in front of the company to walk together. He tries to be nice to her to get closer, but she is still thinking about Young. She apologizes to him, leaves him, and returns home. Afterward, her friend calls her and tells her she has set up a blind date for her with a young man and asks her to come and meet him. She thinks Mira will refuse, but Mira decides to go because she now has experience in relationships due to the program. She wears her most beautiful dress and goes to the appointment. The young man admires her beauty, sits next to her, and keeps caring for her. They get used to each other quickly. At the end of the day, he decides to go and drop her off. He offers for them to go out again on a date alone, but she gets nervous and doesn't know how to answer. The young man feels embarrassed because he rushed. He apologizes to her, leaves her, and walks away. Mira is sad that she missed the opportunity. She sits alone and keeps drinking to forget what happened. Because of this, she feels dizzy and starts hallucinating. When she tries to walk, she imagines Young waving to her. She is happy and runs to him, but she is surprised it's an advertisement. She feels embarrassed and can't take it anymore. She decides to renew the program subscription again. When she returns home, she does so. Of course, she doesn't waste time and puts on the helmet quickly, closing her eyes. When she opens them, she finds herself this time working as a flight attendant. A foreign young man with colored eyes appears before her. She admires his handsomeness and thinks he is the person she will date. She is happy that luck has finally smiled upon her. But suddenly he kidnaps her and threatens her with a gun. It turns out he is a dangerous gang leader and wants to rob her. Our heroine is scared and feels this is her end. Fortunately, there is a policeman with them on the plane. He attacks the criminal and gives him a Boom, thwack, oof. He defeats the gang members, breaks their faces, saves the heroine from them, and goes to check on her. Mira learns this is the person she is supposed to date, but because she is afraid of action, she bids him farewell and says, I hope to see you in better circumstances. She takes off the ring, exits the story, and enters the next relationship. This time she is a nurse and is supposed to date a handsome doctor. She goes to help him. They save the patient's life, and the doctor thanks her. Of course, he falls in love with her, confesses his feelings, and asks to be with her. Mira is happy and lives romantic atmospheres with him. When she gets bored of him, she leaves him and enters the next relationship. She keeps dating many young men, among them the athlete, the judge, and anyone who is available. To the point that once she is a famous actress and falls in love with her bodyguard. She keeps changing men as if they were dresses. She doesn't even leave the idols alone and dates one of them, living the most beautiful romantic love story with him. Because of this, she spends a lot of time in the program and neglects her work. When she goes to the company, the manager scolds her because she has started being late. He keeps berating her and warns her that if she does this again, he will fire her. Mira is sad at his words, apologizes to him, and returns home depressed. But she still doesn't learn her lesson. She puts on the helmet and decides to enter the program to improve her mood. She is surprised that she met Young for the second time, but this time after they graduated from university. He is happy when he sees her and tells her he still loves her. Mira cannot resist his handsomeness and decides to stay with him. He takes her, and they sit in a restaurant. He asks her where she had disappeared during the past period. Mira informs him she is working and gives him her card. Young says he has missed her and takes her number to call her. When they finish, he walks with her to the house, bids her farewell, leaves, and walks away. Mira is happy she saw him and takes off the ring, returning to reality. But she is surprised that Young is calling her, and she doesn't understand how this happened. She goes to read the program instructions and learns that this is a new feature that allows the user to talk to any character they want. Our heroine is impressed and decides to date him in the program, and also in reality. She stays up all night talking to him, happy. The next day, she goes to the company to attend a meeting. She finds her colleague Park waiting for her. He decides to invite her to lunch to talk about work. Mira is forced to agree even though she can't stand him. Indeed, she sits with him, but she is distracted and not focused because she wants to see Young. She keeps sending him messages. As soon as she finishes, she runs home, enters the program, and goes to meet him. They enter the cinema together. They watch a horror movie. Young keeps caring for her and feeds her popcorn himself. Mira is happy with his attention and gets lost in his handsomeness. When they finish, he takes her to a high tower to watch the stars. He buys her the ice cream she likes and says romantic words to her. Days pass while they are dating and getting closer to each other. Mira is happy, becomes attached to him, and loves him truly, feeling that he is the compensation. She forgets he is just a fictional character in the program. When she returns to reality, she finds her friend collapsing in tears because her lover broke up with her. She feels sorry for her and tries to comfort her. She wanted to tell her to try the program to forget him, but she is afraid she will mock her. The next day, she goes to a camp with her colleagues in the company. Park is with her. Because she can't stand him, she decides to enter a challenge against him. She keeps answering the questions to beat him, but he is smarter than her and defeats her. She gets angry and hates him more. She goes to stand by the lake alone, but she trips and her phone falls from her. The manager tries to get it, but the water's cold and he gets out quickly. Mira loses hope, but suddenly Park arrives. He risks himself, goes into the water, and catches the phone just in time. Everyone admires his courage. At night, they return to the camp to sleep, but Mira can't get any sleep and goes out for a walk. By chance, she sees Park sitting with her colleague. She is surprised and thinks they are in a relationship in secret. She decides to stay away from him. The next day, she gets ready to go, but she is stuck and rides next to him. He insists on dropping her off at home. Our heroine wonders at his attention and thanks him. But before she gets out, he surprises her and confesses he is admired by her. Of course, she is shocked because he always treats her with arrogance. She can't answer him, leaves him, and walks away. She thinks he is playing with her because she saw him with her colleague. She decides to warn her about him. The next day in the company, she goes to talk to her, but her colleague tells her, "I confessed my feelings to him, and he rejected me." Mira is surprised and learns she judged him unfairly, but she is hesitant, her feelings are confused, and she keeps avoiding him in the company. Every time she sees him, she runs away. Park wonders at her behavior, goes to talk to her, and asks if she rejected him. But she gets nervous and asks him to give her a chance to think. When she returns home, she enters the program and meets Young to compare them. They go for a walk and she keeps ice skating with him. They spend a nice time together, happy. Mira feels his feelings are sincere toward her and decides to stay in a relationship with him forever. But the next day, she goes with her friend to the hairdresser. There she is surprised that the girls are talking about the program, especially Young's character. They say he is a nice young man and cares for them. Our heroine is shocked and learns he does this with all the girls who enter the program. She feels her heart is broken because she thought she was special. When she returns home, she puts on the helmet and enters the program to meet him. She finds him bringing her flowers and saying he loves her and wants to stay with her. He approaches her to hug her, but she learns he is programmed for that. She decides to stay away from him, thanks him for everything he did for her, bids him farewell, takes off the ring, and returns to reality. She wants to delete the program, but suddenly the system woman appears before her and tries to convince her not to do so. Mira asks her, "How many girls other than me is Young in a relationship with?" The woman is forced to answer her and informs her that he is the most handsome young man in the program. So he is in a relationship with 12,000 girls. No, wait, they just increased by 2 more. Mira is shocked by the number and tells her, "I don't care. I want a lover for myself alone. Otherwise, I will delete the program." The woman decides to help her. She asks her to write the specifications of her dream man for her, and she will make a special character for her. Mira likes the idea and agrees. When she returns home, she keeps thinking and writes all the qualities of the young man she wants to be with. Tall, handsome, witty, he flies. As if she is describing me exactly, dear viewer. When she finishes, she falls asleep from exhaustion. When she wakes up, she decides to enter the program. She is excited because finally she will meet the man of her dreams, but she is surprised that he looks exactly like her colleague Park, but his hair is red. Before we continue, I think you forgot to hit the like button. Press like now, my friend, and subscribe now. She is shocked because it is impossible for her to be with someone like him. She takes off the ring quickly, goes to the system woman, and tells her that there must be something wrong. She begs her to change him because she doesn't like him, but the woman tells her that he has all the specifications she asked for and asks her to give him another chance. Mira feels frustrated and exits the program. The next day she goes to work but meets her colleague Park in the elevator and gets nervous when she sees him. She keeps looking at him from afar to contemplate his features, unable to comprehend that this is the man of her dreams. When they enter the meeting, she keeps watching him. Park notices that she is not acting like herself and asks her what's wrong, but she pretends to be tired and decides to give herself a chance to get to know him better. When she goes home, she puts on the helmet, enters the program, and meets Park. But she is surprised that his personality is different from her colleagues because he is kind and witty. He notices that her car is broken, so he takes her behind him on his motorcycle and drives at full speed. Mira feels safe with him and hugs him. They go to a cafe, and he treats her to the drink she likes. Our heroine is happy that he is romantic and cares for her, unlike her arrogant colleague. Afterward, Park takes her to stay at his place. He leaves his room for her and sleeps in the living room so she can be comfortable, and he even cooks for her himself. Mira thanks him and asks him what he does for a living. She is surprised to find out he is a painter and is impressed because she has long dreamed of being with an artist, and she starts to admire him even more. The next day, Park feels that she is bored and decides to go on a trip. He takes her to the beach, they go into the sea, and he teaches her how to surf. When they finish, they walk together in the forest, but they take a wrong turn and get lost. Mira hears the sound of an animal, gets scared, and closes her eyes. But it turns out to be a small dog, and Park laughs at her reaction. He holds her hand and reassures her that he is beside her and will protect her from any danger. Mira is happy with his words, and when she exits the program, she is surprised that her heart is fluttering. She knows she has finally fallen in love. The next day, she goes to the company and meets her colleague Park in the elevator. She gets nervous and tries to control her feelings so he doesn't notice. She decides to avoid him and stay away. But as luck would have it, the manager asks to speak with them and informs them that they will both travel to attend a festival. Our heroine is surprised and tries to escape, but she fails and is forced to agree. At night, she goes out with her friend and tells her what happened. She informs her that her colleague likes her and she rejected him, showing her his picture. Her friend is impressed by his handsomeness and tells her, "If you don't want him, I'll take him." Mira feels jealous and tells her, "Back off before I make you." The next day, she meets her colleague Park, and they go to the festival together. They attend the awards ceremony, but the author gets angry because she took second place. She leaves the place and walks away upset. Mira has to follow her and tries to convince her to return with her, but the author refuses and pushes her. Our heroine trips and was about to fall, but Park catches her just in time. The two of them keep looking at each other with looks full of love, and Mira feels embarrassed because she got so close to him. She apologizes and moves away from him quickly. Afterward, they enter a cafe to celebrate, but she sees a girl sitting next to Park and feels jealous. She leaves the place, goes out, and keeps drinking alone to try to forget him, but she feels dizzy and starts hallucinating. And suddenly, Park appears in front of her. Mira is happy and thinks she has entered the program. She puts her hands on his face and tells him, "I missed you. Where have you been all this time?" But when she hears his voice, she realizes it is her colleague and feels embarrassed by what she did. She moves away from him, apologizes, and pretends she was dreaming. However, Park remembers his memories with her, and we learn that he fell in love with her from the first time he saw her at the company. Since then, he has been watching her from afar. He began waiting for her every day in front of the elevator to ride with her and try to get close to her, because he was afraid to confess his feelings and have her reject him. He wakes up from his memories and walks with her to the hotel, taking her to her room to check on her. Afterward, he bids her farewell, leaves, and walks away. Before he sleeps, he feels that she doesn't love him and decides to give up and stay away from her so as not to pressure her. The next day, Mira returns home and decides to look at her photos from the festival. By chance, she sees a picture of her colleague, Park. She is admired by his handsomeness and starts contemplating his features. She decides to enter the program to meet the character that looks like him. Indeed, she puts on the helmet and goes to him, finding him sitting on the beach. He informs her that he loves traveling and has decided to travel the world, offering for her to come with him. Mira is surprised and imagines her life if she were with him. She knows she would live with him in happiness and might even get married in the end. But she remembers her colleague Park, imagines him before her, and wakes up from her thoughts. She is hesitant, her feelings are confused, and she doesn't know which of them she loves. She takes off the ring and returns to reality to think carefully. The next day, she goes to the company to talk to Park, but she is surprised that he has started ignoring her. Even in the meeting, he refuses to look at her. Our heroine wonders and doesn't understand the reason, but she tells herself that she is the one who rejected him. She takes heart and walks in front of him with confidence. But as fate would have it, she hits the glass door and hurts her head. She feels embarrassed and runs to the bathroom to look in the mirror. She is surprised that her head has swollen and is afraid Park will mock her. She exits from the back door, rides with her friend, and escapes quickly. When they return home, her friend keeps laughing at her appearance and decides to help her, suggesting she wear a wig to hide the injury. Mira is convinced by the idea and actually does so. The next day, she goes to work, and the employees think she cut her hair and admire her new look. When Park sees her, he keeps laughing because he is the only one who knows the truth. But he refuses to tell anyone so as not to embarrass her. At night, they keep working late, and he notices that she is cold. He makes her a hot drink and even turns on the heater to warm her up. Mira is happy with his attention, thanks him, and asks him to sit with her so he can get warm too. They keep talking and get closer to each other. When they finish work, they ride the elevator together. She bids him farewell and walks away. Park notices that she forgot her keychain and decides to keep it. Afterward, Mira returns home and is surprised that the Park in the program sent her a video saying he misses her and asking her to return to him. She is moved by his words, but she refuses to enter the program because she is afraid of getting attached to him. The next day, she learns that the novel has dropped to second place. Because of this, the manager scolds her and asks her to meet the author to help her. Mira has to listen to him and goes to her house. There, she is surprised that the author is depressed and has no desire to write anything. She decides to take her out to improve her mood. They go out to a restaurant, and by chance, she finds Park there. He decides to help her and invites them to lunch. He keeps caring for the author and brings her the food she likes. Mira is happy, thanks him, and changes her opinion of him. At the end of the day, she walks with him and feels regretful that she rejected him, deciding to fix her mistake. She takes heart and informs him that she is not in a relationship. Park is surprised and decides to take advantage of the opportunity. He approaches her and says, "So, that means I can cross the line?" Of course, the heroine gets nervous and asks herself what he intends to do, but he changes the subject and invites her to his house to eat with his friends. There, Mira is surprised that he loves painting, just like the character in the program. She wonders how she hadn't noticed his good qualities. When they finish eating, Park falls asleep from exhaustion. Mira takes the opportunity, gets close to him, and keeps looking at him to memorize his face. Suddenly, he wakes up, opens his eyes, and thinks she is tired. He puts his hand on her face to reassure her. Mira gets nervous and feels her heart beating. The next day, she wakes up early to run, but she keeps thinking about him and imagines him everywhere, to the point that she screams in the street. Afterwards, she goes to the company and tries to ride the elevator, but it's crowded and she has to get out. But Park sees her, and he waits with her too. Mira admires what he did and begins to imagine herself with him in a white dress. She runs to the library to try to control her feelings, but he follows her and suddenly approaches her, looking into her eyes. The heroine gets nervous and thinks he's going to do something reckless, but he just takes a book from behind her. He laughs and gives her the coffee she likes, telling her that the wig looked good on her. Mira is happy with his words. She melts and her eyes show hearts. She remains shy from his looks all day. When she finishes work, she decides to leave quickly, but Park follows her and calls out to her. He returns her keychain and informs her that he was the one who brought it for her. Mira is surprised because she didn't know and thanks him for his attention. When she returns home, she can't sleep from thinking about him. As soon as he sends her a message saying good night, she is happy and thinks she is dreaming. The next day, she wakes up early and starts taking care of herself, putting on makeup to catch his attention. She goes to work confident in herself. But her colleagues wonder because it's the first time she's done this, and they suspect she is in a relationship with someone from the company. But Mira denies it and tries to change the subject. At night, she finishes work late and is surprised that Park is waiting for her to drop her off. He walks with her and tells her she looks beautiful today. Our heroine feels embarrassed and is afraid of weakening before him. She bids him farewell and boards the bus quickly. But she is surprised that it is going to a distant city. She gets scared and keeps pleading with the driver to let her off. At that time, her friend finds the device with the Lover on Demand program. She decides to try it to forget her lover. Indeed, she puts on the helmet and meets the first character, surprised that he is a singer who keeps playing the piano for her. When she wakes up and returns to reality, she is impressed by the program and decides to buy it and keep using it to compensate for the emotional drought she has. The next day, Mira goes to the company and keeps working late. She notices that Park is not there and thinks he left without her. Suddenly, the lights go out. She wonders and goes to see what's happening. And she is surprised that Park has brought her a Christmas tree for New Year's. He appears from behind her with the cake she likes. Mira is happy because this is the first time someone has celebrated with her, and she thanks him for his care. This time, she takes heart and decides to walk with him. On the way, Park notices she is hungry and takes her to a restaurant, inviting her to dinner. They keep eating together, happy. When they finish, he drops her off at home, gives her a letter, bids her farewell, and leaves. When Mira enters the house, she reads his letter and finds him writing that he is happy with her. She is happy and sure that he loves her. But she remembers the character that looks like him and decides to go meet him. She puts on the helmet, enters the program, and finds him waiting for her by the lake. He tells her he missed her and takes her to the garden to paint her. But every time she looks at him, she remembers her colleague Park and becomes certain that she loves him. She apologizes to him and informs him that she won't come here again. But he holds her hand and says, "My love for you is constant, but your colleague might change." Of course, Mira is afraid of his words. When she returns to reality, she decides to ignore Park because she thinks if she gets attached to him, he will leave her like her old lover. When she goes to the company, she keeps avoiding him and refuses to even look at his face. Park wonders at her behavior and thinks she is upset with him. He goes to talk to her and asks her what's wrong, but she doesn't answer and asks him to stay away from her. She leaves him and walks away, feeling guilty because she broke his heart. She remembers her state when her lover broke up with her and how sad and depressed she was. That's why she is afraid to enter any new relationship. Days pass, and each of them tries to keep themselves busy at the company to forget the other, but of course, they miss each other. One day, our heroine was going home from work, and by chance, she rides next to him in a taxi. She gets nervous and stays silent the whole way. When she reaches home, she leaves him and gets out, but Park worries about her. He follows her and gives her his umbrella because it's snowing. Mira can't take it anymore. She cries and asks him why he's making it so hard for her, informing him that she loves him, but is afraid he will leave her. Park is surprised because he thought she was playing with him. He also cries and reassures her that his feelings are sincere and he could never abandon her. Mira is moved by his words and confesses her love. Park is happy. He approaches her and lets her taste the raisins under the snow in a romantic scene. He walks with her to her house, and before she goes up, he gives her an invitation to an art gallery and asks her to come and attend it with him tomorrow. The next day, he waits for her at the appointed time, but she is late. He loses hope and thinks she won't come. But when he goes out, he finds her standing outside. She runs to him and apologizes because the traffic was crowded. She decides to make it up to him, and they go out on a date together. She takes him and they go to the cinema. They enter a horror movie. She thought he was brave, but he turns into a complete coward and closes his eyes. Mira laughs and holds his hand to reassure him. They decide to make up for the period they were apart and keep going out. They go to a restaurant, an amusement park, and take pictures together, spending a nice time together. However, when they go to the company, they pretend they can't stand each other. They agree to meet in secret so no one knows about their relationship and envies them. On the other side, we see her friend running wild in the program, to the point that she has been with 200 young men and made them all fall in love with her. Because of this, the system woman appears to her and asks her to calm down a bit because people's sons are not a game. But Mira's friend refuses and insists on continuing. We return to our heroine, who is living the happiest moments of her life because she is dating the man of her dreams. Park keeps caring for her and sending her messages. One day, they stay late at the company, and her colleague was about to see them. But Mira takes Park and hides him in her office until she leaves. But when she returns to him, she is surprised that he has fallen asleep. She doesn't want to disturb him and stays standing before him, looking at him, impressed by his handsomeness. When he wakes up, she walks with him and decides she is the one who will drop him off at home. She hugs him, tells him she will miss him, bids him farewell, and leaves. When she returns home, she keeps sending him love messages all night. She wonders how their relationship is so perfect and is afraid she is dreaming. The next day when she wakes up, she is surprised that he has come to her house and informs her that he will cook for her himself. But she tells him, "Shame on you, you are my guest." She decides to be the one who cooks this time. Park thinks she knows how, but when he tastes her food, he finds it worse than Zabula's food. He tells her, "I beg of you, don't cook again," and decides to let her taste something else better. And of course, we all know what it is. Afterward, her friend hacks the program and activates a new feature called Love Triangles. She can be with more than one character at the same time. She keeps dating anyone who comes her way until she finishes all the characters. The program developer is shocked by what happened. He is afraid the program's reputation will be ruined and decides to meet her to convince her to stop what she's doing. The next day, Park finishes work before our heroine. He decides to surprise her and waits for her at home. But when she finds out, she is afraid he will see the program at her place and runs quickly to catch him. She even runs up the stairs, and when she arrives, she finds him standing in the kitchen preparing food for her. Park wonders at her state and hugs her. He stays beside her to reassure her until she falls asleep. He leaves her and goes out, getting ready to leave, but he sees a video of the character that looks like him. Of course, he wonders and doesn't understand anything. At that time, Mira wakes up and doesn't find him beside her. She gets worried and starts looking for him. She sees him coming back from outside, and he tells her he was buying breakfast for her. They sit to eat together, but he remains silent and doesn't talk to her. When they finish eating, he bids her farewell and gets ready to leave. Mira feels that he is not acting like himself, and suddenly she receives a message from the program. She is surprised and realizes that Park saw the character that looks like him. She feels embarrassed and lies to him, telling him she knows nothing about it. But of course, he doesn't believe her. He leaves her and walks away, shocked by her behavior. Afterward, they meet at the company, and he notices that her hand is injured. He feels sorry for her and wants to help her, but he's afraid the employees will find out they are in a relationship. He waits until she enters her office and follows her inside. He bandages her hand and puts a medical plaster on the wound. Mira is moved by his kindness and decides to confess to him that she was using the program. But suddenly the employees walk in on them, and she is forced to stay silent. At the end of the day, she sees Park leaving and goes to ride the elevator with him. She notices he is upset and approaches him, putting her hand on his face, but he remembers when she did that at the festival and realizes she didn't mean him back then. He feels deceived by her and tells her he is busy, leaving her and walking away. Mira gets sad and doesn't know what to do to make it up to him. She goes to meet her friend because she has become an expert in relationships. Her friend advises her to play hard to get as well and ignore him until he talks to her. Mira is convinced by her words and decides to do so. However, when she returns home, she throws her pride in the trash and sends him a message to check on him. Park sees it, but doesn't reply. Our heroine gets angry and decides to treat him coldly as well. The next day, they meet at the company, and she refuses to talk to him. She tries to keep herself busy so he would be the one to reconcile, but he ignores her. She gets sad and decides to seek help from the character that looks like him in the program. When she returns home, she puts on the helmet, goes to him, and tells him what is happening. She asks him what to do to make her lover return to her. He advises her to tempt him with her beauty, so he would weaken and talk to her. Mira likes the idea and decides to do it. The next day, she wears her most beautiful dress and goes to the company confident in herself, feeling like she is the most beautiful woman on earth. Everyone admires her beauty and keeps looking at her. She is happy and thinks her plan will succeed, but she is surprised that Park is also wearing a chic suit and looks even more handsome than her. She is the one who gets impressed by him. She feels frustrated because her plan failed and decides to give up and leave him be. Afterward, Park goes to drop his close friend off at the airport. On the way, he tells him about the dating program and asks him what he would do if he found out his girlfriend made a character exactly like him. But his friend tells him, "I would definitely be happy because it means she loves me and wants to be with me." Park is convinced by his words and realizes he was wrong. He decides to apologize to our heroine and runs to go to her, remembering his memories with her and the beautiful moments they lived together, certain that he loves her. When he arrives at the company, he finds her standing downstairs. As soon as he sees her, he hugs her and apologizes for being distant, informing her that he forgives her. He approaches her and lets her taste the raisins, and as we know, the raisins go back home. Mira reconciles with him, and they go back to being as thick as thieves. At that time, the program developer decides to meet her friend to argue with her, but as soon as he sees her, he is admired by her beauty. He falls in love with her at first sight and tells her, "Your wish is my command. I am at your service." He gives her his card and they decide to date in reality. The next day, our heroes go to the company and are forced to meet in the storehouse so no one sees them. But suddenly, the manager walks in on them. Mira gets scared and pushes Park away from her. Unfortunately, he trips, boxes fall on top of him, and he gets injured in his shoulder. They take him to the hospital. Our heroine feels guilty because she is the cause and follows him to the hospital crying. She decides to confess her feelings for him in front of everyone. When she arrives, she is surprised that his arm is broken. She apologizes, runs to him, and hugs him. The manager sees them and realizes they are in a relationship. Afterward, our heroes sit together, and Park reassures her that he is fine. He is happy because he is certain she loves him and proposes to her. Mira is surprised and agrees, but she tells him she must do something first. She returns home and decides to enter the program for one last time. She meets the character that looks like him, thanks him for helping her, bids him farewell, leaves, and walks away. She decides to delete the program and stay in a relationship with Park in reality. She goes to meet him, and they walk while holding each other's hands, agreeing to get married and complete their lives together, even if it's not perfect. But they will endure because they love each other, and their feelings will not change no matter what happens. Finally, their story ends with a happy ending.